Hey guys, today we have Krishnan and he's having total 3.7 year of experience in Java, Spring Boot and microservices domain. And those who want to give same free mock interview, please fill out the form below in the description. So now let's get started. Hey, hello Krishnan, how are you?
Yeah, hello. Yeah, I'm fine. What about you?
Yes, I am also good. Shall we start?
Yeah, sure. Okay.
So Krishnan, can you please introduce yourself and your recent project in brief?
Sure. First of all, thanks for this opportunity. And
Mhm,
myself, Krishnan, coming from Coimbatore, and I have an overall 3.7 years of experience in full stack development. And
mhm,
along with that, I have switched over two companies. And in that my previous company, we used to work for an e-commerce website. And
mhm,
current company, we are working for a financial bank shoot web
mhm,
applications, and which is focused on banks
mhm,
backend side web applications. And in that one, we used to have a tech stack about Java, Spring Boot, and Docker, and as well as for the front end technologies, we used to have an Angular and
mhm,
NGINX server and for the deployments and Node as a framework. So these are the tech stacks I have used. In my previous company, e-commerce website, we used to have
mhm,
an Timeleaf for the front end technologies and
mhm.
microservice AWS in order to improvise them. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Can you tell me what is the role of constructor in object creation?
Sure. Uh,
Uh,
Constructor is a part where we can able to create while initiating the
mhm,
class itself.
mhm,
Basically, whenever the starting point of the that particular class,
mhm,
this is used to initiate automatically the object whenever the
mhm,
class is created. So while loading up the application,
mhm.
the it will check upon the constructor and it will create its own object whenever it is needed.
Okay. Can constructor be inherited?
No, I think so.
Yeah. Constructors are not inherited, but a subclass can call a super class constructor using super. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So can you instantiate an abstract class?
Instantiate an abstract class. Yeah, we can able to create a constructor over the abstract classes and use it
Okay.
inside the subclasses. And for the subclasses versions, we can able to map it to the parent class
Okay.
objects. But we
Okay.
can't able to entirely create an abstraction based
Uh-huh.
on this one. In
Mm-hmm.
order to overcome this, we used to have an implement a multiple interfaces.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the main feature enabled in the Java 8, I think.
Okay. Okay. Mm, okay. So, as you said, you are doing migration from Java 8 to 17. Do you know some new features introduced in Java 17?
Sure. First of all, it is a we have an improvisation in the sealed classes, which
Mm-hmm.
is also
Mm-hmm.
similar to subclasses,
Okay.
and as well as we have a record
Mm-hmm.
over the JPA repositories instead of creating a new Hibernate JPA repository interfaces.
Mm-hmm.
We used to have an records where this DTO mapping and all those things will be
Mm-hmm.
more flexible usings. I think these are the main things, but we used to have migrating no, so the same code, Ditto, copy paste over
So,
there.
are you facing any challenges?
Yeah, mainly things is dependency versions and filter changes and as well as
Defenders.
uh, any other DB related. So these are the main driver settings and as
Mm-hmm.
well as we used
Okay.
to have an implement and a Docker in. So these are the main changes along with that one.
Mm. Okay. Okay. So, can you use a class without creating its object?
Um, I think static in a static way of declaring a
Can
class.
you give an example?
Um, can, Sorry, we didn't use much.
Okay. So, like
Yeah.
math dot square root
Oh, sure,
logger
sure.
factory dot get logger. So this is a static methods square root, and we can directly use math methods, right,
Yeah,
without
yeah, yeah,
creating objects.
yeah, yeah. Directly importing them in. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Understood, understood.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Krishnan, I would like to share one important thing with you. Actually, we had launched complete interview preparation material, structured step by step by myself, expert and MNC's interviewers. And the best part is that now no one need to go anywhere else to prepare interviews. There is a 99% chance that interviewers will ask questions from this material. So basically, it contains a lot of material categorized by experience level. Means each experience level has different material with all possible interview question and answers. For Java, Spring Framework, Maven, Git, Spring Boot, Spring Security, Spring Data, JPA, Kafka, microservices, Java coding questions, Stream API coding questions, and many more. I have provided the link to get this in the below description. And if someone needs this material, plus two real enterprise client projects for reference, plus one-on-one lifetime doubt sessions, and referrals to the big MNCs like TCS, Infosys, HCL, then they should check interview preparation kit. I will provide the link for this as well in the description below. So now moving to our interview. So Krishan,
Yeah.
can you tell me what is an inheritance in Java and why is it very, very useful?
Sure. Inheritance is a way of
Mm-hmm.
deriving the parent class features
Mm-hmm.
towards and subclasses.
Mm-hmm.
In order to you achieve this inheritance, we use this
Mm-hmm.
extended classes, extends
Okay.
keyword in order
Mm-hmm.
to call upon this parent class, and
Mm-hmm.
by using a method overriding, overloading these things,
Mm-hmm.
it can able to improvise this code whenever these abstract classes also used while creating for the
Mm-hmm.
inheritance purpose, where we can able to share the code logics and all those things. So it is one of the main features of the OOPS, so that
Mm-hmm.
we use it in real life application based
Mm-hmm.
coding.
Okay. Okay. What's the difference between is, are, and has a relationships in Java?
Pardon, what is the, I didn't get that.
Or what's the difference between is, are, and has a relationships in Java?
Mm, I'm getting these questions new. Sorry, I can't.
Okay.
I,
Okay. So actually, have you heard about composition?
Composition.
Okay.
No,
Uh, no. Okay. So,
no.
for example, we have relationships like one to one, one to many, right? In
Yeah,
database.
yeah.
Have you heard about? So,
Yeah.
similarly, in our OOPS, we have relationships like is a, has a. Like
Okay,
inheritance, I mean, is inheritance,
okay, okay,
and
okay, okay,
has a is composition.
okay,
Like dog is an animal. Animal is inherited from dog. So is a relationship is associated with inheritance. For
okay,
example, car has a engine. Okay. So engine, a car is a, I mean, whole part, and engine is a sub part of car. So engine is not inherited here. So it's a composition.
okay. Understood, understood. Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So can a class be final and abstract at the same time?
Mm, can I class?
Be final and abstract at the same time.
Uh, I think not. We
Mm-hmm.
have a abstract method. Inside that one, we can have a final method and as well as a,
Mm-hmm.
abstract methods and
Mm-hmm.
all those static methods and everything. Other than that, we can't able to create a class with a
Mm-hmm.
final abstract
Yeah, yeah,
key.
we cannot.
Yeah,
Okay. Because otherwise there will be a contradictory, right?
yeah, yeah.
Contradictions. Okay. So, Krishnan, let's say you have a superclass with a method that all subclasses should use,
Okay,
but
okay,
some need additional steps. How
okay.
would you design this?
Mm, okay. I need to override all those abstract classes
Mm-hmm.
methods.
Mm-hmm.
But for the specific one, we need a additional part of implementation, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Mm, we can we can achieve this by abstract builder or factory abstract factory builder. The like this, we can able to
Mm-hmm.
coherent these abstract methods and implement those abstract classes
Mm-hmm.
into a group, and that bundled group can be implemented over the specific classes, so that
Mm-hmm.
we can able to override specific methods, and for the
Mm-hmm.
specific groups we can actually call upon these factories.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is the way I think. It may be other ways. Let me check it out, yeah, later.
Yeah, yeah. Other ways, maybe like we could use a template method pattern.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
in this I mean, we can define the structure in the superclass and allow subclass to override the specific steps.
Okay. Okay. Sure. 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 Sure.
Okay. Okay.
Understood.
So tell me, what is polymorphism and what are its types?
Okay, polymorphism is a way of creating an object
Mm-hmm.
with in many forms.
Okay.
For example,
Mm-hmm.
we can have an about an method of overriding and as well
Mm-hmm.
as overloading. So we
Mm-hmm.
have the same kind of functionality names with parameters as a different
Mm-hmm.
ways. So it
Okay.
can call upon the particular overloading. Whereas overriding means, for the example, if we have a parent class which have an
Mm-hmm.
certain methods, we need to override that one. We can able to override that specific names with a
Mm-hmm.
same integer or a same parameters, so
Mm-hmm.
that we can able to override that particular method while implementation of the logic in
Okay.
our application.
Okay. Okay. So how does method overriding work at runtime? And can you override a static or private methods?
Actually, while can't able to override the static method, which is a final thing, but we can override the particular parent class methods, and
Mm-hmm.
now actually this overriding occurs when a parent class declares a sum of the functionalities
Mm-hmm.
with the same parameters. We can able to
Mm-hmm.
totally write the same functionalities or else
Mm-hmm.
alter those functionalities. While creation of the object, we need to map it as a child class, and
Mm-hmm.
for that particular child class, we can able to call upon that particular things. Whenever we used to do define a parent object also,
Mm-hmm.
it will override that particular functionalities.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, we can. This is the way of overriding works, and I think we can't able to override the static methods here, which will
Mm-hmm.
be final keyword values and all those things.
Okay. 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 So, how will you design a plugin based system using polymorphism?
Plugin based polymorphism.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so sorry, no idea about that
Okay.
one.
Okay. We could create a common interface like plugin and load implementation dynamically. Each plugin implements execute method differently.
Okay, okay, okay,
Okay. Okay.
okay,
So
okay.
let's say you are building a payment system that supports UPI, credit card, and wallet payments. How would you use polymorphism here?
Um, okay. Credit card would be an abstract class,
Mm-hmm.
and for this UPI payment and as well as these two will be an separate
Mm-hmm.
subclasses that we which call upon this base class
Mm-hmm.
abstract classes. We will use to override those specific particular logics for the UPI creations and
Mm-hmm.
override those process files for that one. Which but overall the transaction will be same, so that these credit cards will have an separate things. Whenever the initialization of the object based upon this new API card and as well as debit card
Mm-hmm.
transactions, I will use to have an implementation of the object
Mm-hmm.
in my service layers or business
Mm-hmm.
logic wise. I will use to segregate those things, and
Okay.
I think this is the best.
Okay. Okay. Got it. What is encapsulation and how does it promote maintainability?
Actually, encapsulation is a way of hiding those internal things from the particular HTTP request.
Mm-hmm.
We used to have a data access layers and data setters. These are the used to map those indirectly object variables with them.
Mm-hmm.
And using these, we can able to achieve the encapsulations from the data
Mm-hmm.
accessing layers, and so that
Mm-hmm.
it is safe and secure. Apart
Mm-hmm.
from that, encapsulation achieves a more way of loosely coupled, and it used to achieve the ways of securing the data from the
Mm-hmm.
important of the users, and their data can be secured along with them.
Okay. Okay. So let's say you have a shared configuration object in a multi-threaded system, right? How
Okay,
would you
yeah.
ensure encapsulation while allowing safe access?
Sure. We use a synchronized block and as well as
Mm-hmm.
concurrent hash maps, and
Okay.
other way of concurrent objects
Mm-hmm.
collections in order to achieve that multi-threaded would be safe. And
Mm-hmm.
while implementation of that runnable interface and
Okay.
using a thread executor services, we can able to override that particular run method.
Mm-hmm.
And in that process, we used to have an synchronized block. And
Mm-hmm.
whenever the synchronized block, it will access those, particularly one thread will be accessible that instead of reading and writing multiple same object values, synchronize will have a control over one thread which should be accessed in that one.
Mm-hmm.
Which this way we can able to achieve that one.
Okay. Okay. What's the difference between encapsulation and abstraction?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Encapsulation is okay. Actually, it is a way of binding the data and
Mm-hmm.
the functionalities within them.
Together.
It is
Mm-hmm.
called as an encapsulation, whereas abstraction is a way of hiding those internal data from the
Mm-hmm.
functionalities, such as while calling a function, it inside the
Mm-hmm.
function it will have an internal uses, but it will return some of the functions.
Mm-hmm.
So we hide those entire functions by keeping it as a private or a public or protected. Then access specifiers. These are the
Mm-hmm.
main uses of the abstractions.
Okay. Okay. How can we achieve abstraction?
Um, sure. By extending the abstract
Mm-hmm.
classes, or else creating an interface, functionality interface as and implementing those functionality interface in order to achieve those methods.
Okay. Okay. So let's say your application needs to support future integrations like third-party APIs. So how
Okay.
would you apply abstraction here?
Okay. Sure. Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Third-party applications.
Mm-hmm.
We used to have a multiple functionality interfaces and implement those in
Mm-hmm.
our specific classes, because abstraction method, we used to have a 50% of abstraction only. In
Mm-hmm.
terms of interface, it will be a more efficient one. So I will use an function interfaces
Okay.
uh, for each and every third-party integrations, and
Mm-hmm.
implement those multiple interfaces. Whenever it is
Mm-hmm.
needed, it will be assigned to the classes so that it
Mm-hmm.
can override, or else specific methods can be called upon that particular interface and get
Mm-hmm.
the result set. And in Java 8, we have to have a default methods also in functionality
Mm-hmm.
interfaces, so it will be
Okay.
more.
Okay. Okay. So how does Java handle the diamond problem with the default methods?
Okay. Um, uh, Diamond problem.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. Yeah, I will later check it out. I didn't
Okay.
have an idea.
Okay, so Java actually requires us to override the conflicting method explicitly in the class, implementing multiple interfaces with the class with the same default methods.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, you can read about it after
Okay.
this
Sure.
interview. Okay,
Yeah.
can a class implement multiple interfaces with conflicting method signature?
And the conflicting with their signature. I think no. Why? Because now we can able to implement multiple interfaces in the same class, but for this, whenever it is the same method,
Mhm.
it used to uh, um, it doesn't know
Okay,
which able to map it over there.
yeah,
So
actually, the correct answer is yes. Can a class implement multiple interfaces with conflicting method signature? Yes, but the class must provide its own implementation of the conflicting methods to resolve ambiguity.
okay, 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 okay. Sure, sure,
Okay.
sure. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's the difference between Java? Oh, sorry, pass by value and pass by reference in Java?
Um, Pass by value and pass by reference. Sorry, I
Okay.
forgot it.
Okay. So Java is actually strictly pass by value. For objects, the reference is pass by value. Change to the objects are visible, but not to the reference itself. I mean, in one
Okay.
place we are passing values, in one we are passing references.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, okay,
Okay.
understood, understood, understood. Yeah.
So what happens if you store a mutable objects in a hash set and later modify its fields used in equal and hash code?
Um, in terms of mutable classes, for example,
Mutable
Can you?
objects means we can change those later.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
In terms of hash map, we can able to store that one. Whenever that particular key is called upon, that one we can get the values, and for that values we can able to alter that to mutable values.
Okay. Okay.
And
Mm. Okay, so how would you log actions in an application without modifying existing core classes directly?
um, log purposes, we can able
Mm-hmm.
to use the bean fact. We can able to override that by creating our own bean for the logging purposes.
Mm-hmm.
For example, if you use an bean factory for that
Mm-hmm.
particular specific loggers, we can able to achieve that one.
Mm-hmm.
While starting application context, it can load upon that bean, and we can able to use those logging purposes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Can we use inheritance here?
In loggers, that bean
In
functionalities here.
logger, in not in logger, actually in logging classes.
Logging classes.
Okay. So do you
Not
know about Spring AOP?
aspect of programming.
Uh-huh.
I have a basic idea.
You have heard. You haven't used it yet in your
No,
code base. Okay.
no, no.
Okay. Okay, it's fine. Moving ahead. Mm, tell me some important annotations in Spring Boot.
Sure. We used to have a REST controllers and as
Mm-hmm.
well as services,
Mm-hmm.
repositories. Other than that, auto config
Mm-hmm.
enable auto configuration, Spring Boot applications,
Mm-hmm.
and at bean, at configuration, at component, and at post construct and
Mm-hmm.
pre destroy, and
Mm-hmm.
all the other annotations are important. Add
Okay.
values also in order to achieve the application properties inside the code. You can use
Mm-hmm.
this add values, and apart from that, add prototype, add bean, and these are the main features of enabling the auto configurations in the
Mm-hmm.
Spring Boot, and these are the main annotations.
Okay. Okay. So, uh, can you tell me how can we create a Spring Boot project in the initial steps?
Sure. First of all, we would create an Maven project by
Mm-hmm.
creating a Spring Boot based version. And for that parent class, we used to have an abstract artifact ID and the main class methods, and as well as the packages whichever need to configure. We
Mm-hmm.
can able to create one package over there,
Mm-hmm.
and we can add those dependencies whenever the web is or any other dependencies is
Mm-hmm.
needed. We can add those in the POM XML, and we used to have an Spring Boot starter based
Mm-hmm.
things in POM XML in order to
So
get
what
use
is
of.
POM XML? Why do we use that file?
Sure. POM XML is used to maintain the dependencies and its
Mm-hmm.
versions, and
Okay.
in order to frame these Spring Boot applications, we you need a startup page, and where we can
Mm-hmm.
able to add the third-party dependencies as well as maintaining all those things. We use this POM XML. In order to create a
Mm-hmm.
profile, also we use this POM XML, and while building and all those specific things will be take up from this POM XML. So it is an important.
Okay. Can you tell me few important dependencies name?
Sure. We use Java Web, and these
Mm-hmm.
it is a main dependencies. And apart from
Mm-hmm.
that, JDBC drivers, specific drivers also needed for the specific databases. We used to have
Mm-hmm.
these data driver dependencies. And apart from that, we use Lambok in order
Mm-hmm.
to override the data setters in DTOs and directly access those
Okay.
things. And
What
other
are
than
starter dependencies?
starter dependencies means if Spring Cloud it's one of
Mm-hmm.
the basic things which can
Mm-hmm.
have multiple features. So in order to use those cloud, we used to have an starter dependencies
Mm-hmm.
in Spring dot cloud dot starter dot
Mm-hmm.
that purpose. And after that, we can use specifically uses the several features inside that one, such as
Mm-hmm.
like or else there are
Mm-hmm.
any other JWT or else any other things can be used over there.
Okay. Okay. So moving ahead, which IDE you guys are using?
Eclipse only.
Eclipse. Can you tell me few shortcuts of Eclipse that you generally use in day-to-day life?
Sure, sure. We used to have a debug breakpoints and all those
Mm-hmm.
things in that one with whenever the while debugging of the applications, these so ensures our focused things in order to break down the what exact values whenever we are debugging over there. And
Mm-hmm.
apart from that, we used to have a build path where the Java versions can be manually changed in
Mm-hmm.
order to run the specific Java versions projects. And
Okay.
apart from that, we have a server where we can able to implement the Tomcat server and other things in order
Mm-hmm.
to run the specific Spring MVC project over
Mm-hmm.
there. And we can able to
Okay.
add third-party implementations in workspaces
Mm-hmm.
also.
Okay. Okay. So tell me, what are the alternatives to AutoWAD in our
Uh,
Spring Boot application?
sure. Instead of auto-wired, we can able to create by constructor setter based injections.
Mm-hmm.
We can able to achieve that one object inside
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
our
yeah. Constructor injection setter, right?
yeah, yeah.
Constructor injection is generally preferred for immutability testing and mandatory dependencies. Okay.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay.
Okay. So
Yeah.
let's say you are creating a library shared across microservices. How would you expose common beans?
Okay. Will you expose common beans? Beans in terms of here, beans means.
Beans means common classes.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't have idea
Okay.
about it.
So we
Yeah.
could create a Spring Boot starter with configuration annotation classes to auto configure beans and include it as a dependency in microservices. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Sure. 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 Yeah.
Okay. So how do you create a REST controller?
Yeah. By annotating the REST controller in our controller class, and we
Hmm.
have a request mappings for the base URLs whenever the things is required. And apart
Hmm.
from that, inside the methods, HTTP, each and every HTTP request method,
Hmm.
can write it over here along with the request body or else a response body or
Hmm.
path. So like path variables and all those things will be inserted over there.
Okay. Okay. And how can we secure REST API?
Sure. In terms of securing means, we used to have an JWT based filters while startup of the applications. It loads
Hmm.
upon the and checks the headers values of where it is a beaver token will be attached to, and
Hmm.
from that we used to have REST template whenever the HTTP request is coming,
Hmm.
so that it will validate all those things, and then only it will pass upon the REST APIs where we'll provide the request based upon the request body provided. We will
Hmm.
generate the response entity and deposit over there.
Okay. Mm. Okay. So, uh, have you, I mean, in your project, I think you could see one authorization token, right? While
Yeah,
calling an API. So, what is that token?
JW token. We use JW
So,
tokens.
what's there inside the JWT token?
Sure. Actually, where the access, whenever the login pages is loaded,
Mm-hmm.
we used to disable the cross
Mm-hmm.
filter securities for that particular request, HTTP request,
Mm-hmm.
and we used to validate the username and password and
Mm-hmm.
create an exact access token for that. But if
Mm-hmm.
the particular password is matches, and in that one we used to have an user IDs,
Mm-hmm.
roles and responsibilities of which for that particular user assigned, and
Mm-hmm.
as well as expiration time along with user IDs and other details in order to fix that one.
Okay. Okay, so what's the difference between request param, path variable, and request body?
Okay. Request bodies usually have a JSON type things
Mm-hmm.
where we can able to key values will be
Mm-hmm.
passed over there. In terms of path variable means the URL itself holds the values. It cannot be
Mm-hmm.
dynamic values. It is on static values. Whenever
Mm-hmm.
the for the particular IDs or any other things, we can able to use it over there. And path forms are the dynamically changed things provided with the URL. where
Mhm.
the specific requesters need to initialize the dynamic values whenever it is called.
Okay. Okay. So you need to create a custom error response, or you need to return the custom error response in JSON for all the exceptions. How would you do it?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. We can able to create an custom exception
Mm-hmm.
class, and then we
Mm-hmm.
can use it over there. And initializing using a new
Mm-hmm.
initialization constructor method, we can able to create a custom exception, and then through this we can able to achieve that one.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of we can able to manually create a new
Mm-hmm.
uh, response entity, and from that we can able to get the setum body. In that one also we can able to manually set a method where
Mm-hmm.
it is in 401 or else 302 or else any other method, whatever the 500 or any other things. And apart from that we can able to manually alter the
Mm-hmm.
body and
Mm-hmm.
send it as a new response.
Okay, got it. What are the important components of Spring Boot based microservice architecture?
Okay. Spring Boot based microservice architecture. We use uh, gateway based
API
architecture.
gateway.
API gateway. So whenever the entry point through API gateway is gate entry point for the all the HTTP request, where these server configured in our Nginx server, and through which this particular port only allowed for the front end applications to access through this application
Mm-hmm.
only. Where API gateway, the using a path.
Mm-hmm.
It can predict that particular microservices and configure it over there towards the services. And
Mm-hmm.
for the each and every specific in modules, we can have a separate services, so that this particular gateway acts as an proxy, and it
Mm-hmm.
will do to those internal things towards that particular thing, and it will again given the response to the proxy and the API gateway, and through this gateway only we will provide the response.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. So you need to share authentication state across multiple microservices, right? How would
Okay.
you approach it?
Okay, sure. Multiple services.
Microservices.
Okay. Um, these beaver tokens will be not cannot be tampered, I think. So it will directly
So we could
process the.
use an API gateway with JOT based authentication or Auth2
Okay, 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 okay,
with an identity provider like Keycloak to share tokens securely across services.
okay, okay. Yeah,
Okay.
later I check it.
Mhm. So what is Spring Data JPA and how does it simplify DAO layer development?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Using an Hibernate JPAs, we
Mm-hmm.
can instead of writing a direct JDBC queries, we can able to achieve this in
Mm-hmm.
a more code-based base. So it
Mm-hmm.
minimize the insertion and saving and all those query-based
Mm-hmm.
things. Instead of writing these things, we can able to directly access this JPA, and using a JPA repositories, we can able to interfaces. So we can able to use those
Mm-hmm.
insertions, save, and all those methods.
Mm-hmm.
We can able to achieve those our data insertion on all.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Uh, how do you write custom queries in Spring Data JPA?
Sure. By using an at
Query
native
annotation.
equal to true annotations, we can able
Mhm.
to I write our manual based JDBC
Okay.
queries
So can you
inside.
tell me some inbuilt queries, important inbuilt queries?
Um, Named queries, we can able to, while creating an entity layer, we can able to create a named queries
Mm-hmm.
itself, through which we can able to achieve the Hibernate values based upon the inner joins or joins on any other entity based level things. We can able to use
Mm-hmm.
this. Um, Apart from that,
Okay. Okay,
can
so how would you integrate two databases in one single Spring Boot application?
sure. By using a primary source and a data source and a
Mm-hmm.
secondary data source, we can able
Mm-hmm.
to achieve multiple database configurations over
Mm-hmm.
there, through which one can be a class and one can be a derived
Okay.
thing. Uh, Based upon the connect
What logging mechanism you guys are using?
login mechanism means uh, in terms of, can you explain a little bit?
Logging means, let's say if we have loggers, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Log4j2 and all.
Log4j only. Yeah.
What's the default logging mechanism
Um,
that Spring Boot provides by default?
Default only, Logger 4j only. We are
Yeah, yeah, you are using log4j2, but logback is a default logging mechanism what Spring Boot provides. Okay, or
okay, okay,
like it
okay,
provides default servers, Tomcat, and all. Okay,
okay. Understood, understood.
okay. So, are you have you experienced on cache?
Yeah. We have using Redis as a caching for the storing up of a master based
Hmm.
things. So
So,
it
why
will
do we
be
use caching?
whenever the retrieval of our data object from our
Mm-hmm.
DB, it's getting time-based things. So in order to constrain that one, each and
Mm-hmm.
every database's values will be stored dumped in that values. Whenever the HTTP request, it will directly call upon check the cache burst, and if that is already exists, means it will provide the data as soon as possible. For the multiple times, it will directly hit a DB, so
Mm-hmm.
we were time constraining those DB fetches calls and getting from
Mm-hmm.
the caches in order to minimize the DB
Okay.
interactions.
Okay. So, does Spring Boot provides any default cache,
Yeah, at catching using an cloud-based thing,
cacheable
we
annotation and all?
catching other things, annotations. Using this, we can able to achieve that.
Okay, so tell me some important Git commands that you know and use day to day.
Sure. The main things are a git pull push and a conflict. Whenever conflict occurs, we used
Mm-hmm.
to merge it by checking
Mm-hmm.
the classes, and we will recommit it and while merge on switch or checkout from branches from base branches towards feature branches,
Mm-hmm.
and other than that, these are the main features I think.
Okay. Yeah, okay, Krishnan. It's done from my end, and it was a very, very nice interview.